Is this just fantasy? Yeah, it's kind of the pinnacle of fantasy, or at least one of my big inspirations. So I said we were talking about new stuff, and so the first new thing I want to talk about is Maleficent. So just as a precursor, so I'm a big fan of the character Maleficent. I'm also a big fan of the original Sleeping Beauty, the Disney animated feature. Just visually a stunning movie. The based on the concept artwork of Avon Earl, who that's an artist that I would definitely want to cover at a later date once I get like an art book of his or something, because just such a strong visual artist. And what I love is that apparently Walt's pitch to his artistic team when it came to Sleeping Beauty was, we're going to make a illustrated book move, or rather, they're gonna style the figures in the world like like a book, like book illustration. So less naturalistic, more stylized, and at the center of it, you have one of the coolest looking villains that Disney ever created in Maleficent. Just very, I mean, great visual language when it comes to it, just because you have these horns and you got like her kind of off putting green skin, in this case, blue green skin. Her long black robe, black and purple color scheme. Got this like spiky scalloped collar, and her long staff or wand for her power affect, and she's got a best friend that's a freaking raven. It's really it's a great look. She's awesome. I'm a big fan of her in that animated feature as the mistress of all evil. Just great. The movie, live action movie, is well, we're going to talk about things we like, huh? So let's just go ahead and go with this one, which is issue one of the Maleficent series. There are, I think, at present 3 issues out. Fourth one's coming out, and I think it's going to be just a 5 issue series. So maybe I'll catch up, maybe I won't. But this is written and drawn by Soo Lee. So Soo Lee is a really strong artist, a big fan of hers. And right away, we just have a gorgeous sense of the enchanted forest, the even the dark and creepy enchanted forest that Maleficent occupies, the kind of world that she lives in. And I honestly really respect that Soo Lee didn't try to ape the visual style of the animated feature. I mean, I love the look of the animated feature, I've just said, but I love that she is drawing this like her own way, and just has these really luscious greenery. And I also love the transition from a less ominous looking greenery here up at in this first panel, but then as we go deeper into the forest, it becomes darker and more ominous, and we get the first hint of her vines coming in here, her thorny vines, and we have a our character introduction here of our figure running, and looks like being pursued by these like raccoon wolf rat things. I don't know what they are, but they're a fancy creature, and they're a convincing one because it's similar to things that exist in the real world. But we get our first look at our titular character here, kind of coming into the murkiness, and she's it seems like she's going to appear in a magical way, which as she always does, and she is scattering these rat creatures, and this this guy, she's protecting him. And I think that's also an intriguing thing is, we have the mistress of all evil protecting this person, but my guess is that she's assuming that there's an ulterior motive to someone entering her woods. So really nice, I think, costuming on the figure. It looks in keeping with the kind of vague medieval era the um, that the movie has and that the story has. It feels like a fairy tale like character, fairy tale world. I think costuming is really important. It can't, to me, if it looks like basically like a too modern cut a cloth, it's going to take me out of it. And I think that's something that has to do with people who like fantasy is they want to feel immersed. They want to feel like they're entering a different world. They don't want to be in our, they don't want to be in our world. They want to be in a different one. Really nice looking Maleficent here. Nice close up. We have that kind of a little bit seductive, but also very confident, very powerful, very like kind of this wry smile. Like she knows more about what you're about than you do, which I think is just perfect. That's just such a great expression, so slight in the uses of her ink lines here. Just really, really great. And also, she keeps the art and the colors like pretty dark, which I think is a bold move, and also I think the right one, just to kind of get the right atmosphere for this comic and for the panels here. I believe the character's name, the bird's name is Diablo, so there's Diablo there. But yeah, so we're going to be, I guess, introduced a little to these characters, to the world here. And I'm not going to go too much into, because I have read this, and I'm not going to go too much into the specifics of it, because I feel like you should read it, because I think it's really worth getting. I'm not going to reiterate that at the end. So I'm, as someone who creates comics, as someone who loves comics, I feel like, well, one, Soo Lee is a great visual storyteller, and she also knows how to keep a page dynamic and interesting. We have this discussion, but we have these great little breakouts of the panel, which we have Diablo here breaking out here, cawing, and then we also have her breaking out of the panel here. It's a nice way to just add something to the page. And we have this lovely like close up of her scepter. And a nice little intense expression. Great panel here. Love how she seems like almost as like immense, like she's the knight or something. I don't know. It's just really great. Also love the cut of this kind of stream of like cloud or energy or what have it, just cutting across the panel there. This right here, maybe my favorite panel so far. Maybe the whole issue. Just love how simplified her face gets, and yet it's clear who it is. The body language is still there. Her bird is still there, in the midst of the forest. The love, the lighter cut of this vegetation cuts into the black there. I love the atmosphere around her. She's isolated, and yet she fits into that area so well. This is a gorgeous panel. But as a creator, as somebody who, and also I want to be real with everybody, there is one thing about this series, about this comic even, that I'm not sure why they made this choice, but I feel like it's not the best. It's not definitely one I would make, but it is, and it's also something that generally I feel like is considered a rule of the craft. Although some rules are made to be broken, and it's going to be a nitpick. It has nothing to do with Soo Lee's drawing or writing. It has nothing to do with the coloring. It is the lettering. So, if you look here, you can see the art of the thorny vines coming through the word balloon here. I'm not a fan of that. I'm not a fan of lettering that with like slightly transparent bubbles. Like over here, you can't tell. Like, or you really can't tell as much like in some of these because there's no art behind it that is like showing through. But like you can see it like here a bit, but you can really tell right here. And I'm just not a fan of that as much as I want to see the virgin art of Soo Lee, because it's gorgeous. I mean, I feel like it just it interrupts the reading process because I'm thinking about the stuff behind it, and I shouldn't. I should just be reading these words and feeling the power of Maleficent's voice coming through. I shouldn't be thinking about how the power of her words is kind of obscured by the art behind it. I don't know what choice was. I don't know if that was a letterer choice or if it was Soo Lee's choice or if it was the publisher, the editor. I don't know who. It's not the one I would make. It doesn't ruin the book. It doesn't even ruin the art, but it makes me think about the lettering. And they always say that the best lettering is almost invisible. Like as in you're not thinking about it as you're looking at it. It just reads and it doesn't obscure the storytelling or the atmosphere or anything. It just kind of flows with the art. And so with that, I will say that that's my biggest criticism, not even criticism, my biggest issue with this issue. Haha. But again, it's really a nitpick. It's really small because, the rest of these figures are, the rest of this is just wonderful. Like just, I mean, I love her, being in this panel and extending into this. It's just a nice flow of storytelling. And we're getting this little magical device that's this compass. I don't know about the history of compasses and stuff. So I don't know if that's like a little more modern than what the time period is. But then again, what is the time period? The time period is fairy tale, and fairy tale is kind of vague and nebulous. Okay, yeah, and here, we're skipping a page. Sorry. But here we're having this figure chasing her, following her to her castle. We're getting the first looks of Maleficent's castle. And again, Soo Lee is drawing it her way. It's not slavishly loyal to how Avon Earl or how the animators made it in the movie. It is simply, her riff or her take on the whole thing. Really a great panel right here. And also Soo Lee is amazing with animals. And that's going to come up in a later issue that is, I would say, 90 to 95% just involving animals. And yet it is some amazing comic storytelling and it's great. It's, yeah, so... But we'll get into that later. Some really nice panels here. Just, I mean, I'm gonna love this kind of dark atmospheric panel with her silhouette over the door, and just really nice perspective here. And I love the kind of broken up like bricks here in the floor. Everything's kind of broken down, but that's exactly the way she likes it. It's almost like my headcanon. This wasn't her castle. This was a castle she took over from somebody else, and the fact that it's partially destroyed is like she keeps it that way because it reminds her of when she conquered whoever lived here before. Again, headcanon, not real or not a known thing. But if I were able to write my own or do my own Maleficent comic, I would do something with that. I would 100% do something with that. And here we're getting hints of her goblins, which again, she's really good with animals, and so she's got these really nice animal features in with these animal creatures. And this son of a bitch is trying to steal her staff, and it's something where it's like, did we ever doubt that she was going to get him? That she was going to stop him? Yeah, and this guy, you can't do magic, dude. Get out of here. Yeah, so yeah, and she's got her whole army set up, and I love like simplifications like that because, and this is also another great panel, because I just love like her army around her, but I think there is something, and it may be not just particular to fantasy, but maybe a little particular to fantasy. There's something great about leaving space for the viewer to add their own information, because I think that's something that's great about fantasy, is that when you read a book, say, it invites the viewer to create with you, the author. It invites, and you get to add in some of the detail, or rather keep some detail out, make it murky, make it mysterious, and you get that right here. And I think that's why this really works as a fantasy comic and as fantasy art, because there is still lots of mystery to it, even even though it can be specific at times. But yeah, just wonderful stuff. And I'm going to leave what happens here a mystery, because I think you should buy this book. I think that I recommend it. I think Soo Lee knocks it out of the park, just art-wise. I think, the colors, the line work, all of it is just wonderful. I think that she, as a fantasy artist, does a great job, and I wholeheartedly recommend it. I think that I want to see more fantasy work from her. Not just the rest of the Maleficent series, but I want to see more fantasy stuff. I always want to see more fantasy stuff, but she's particularly a good artist, really good at it. So I am going to say that you should buy this book. Pick it up if you're interested. And even if you're not a quote-unquote Disney fan, I just think that this is a cool story of this sorceress. And she's just, she's mysterious, and she's powerful, and she's, dangerous, but also alluring. Like, you want to see what she gets up to. So I'm a big fan of it. Thank you, Soo Lee, for creating something wonderful. And thank you for watching this video. If you like fantasy comics and you want to support what I do here, I have my own fantasy comics. Thank you very much. I have my own comic, Side Questers. It is about what if friendship was the treasure, or the whole time, or whatever. Anyway, Fetch Me the Lizard Man is my first book. First volume, I should say. It collects 8 issues of the comic. And it is something I'm super proud of. And yeah, if you love fantasy, if you love adventure, friendship, comedy, world building, it's got all that stuff, because I put it in there because I love that stuff. And if you want something a little more dark or mysterious, I have my Haxan anthologies. They are a series of short stories that are all around the theme of magic users, so even similar to Maleficent in some ways. I have 2 volumes. They're like 60 pages and with like 3 or 4 stories in each book. If you're interested in either of those books, you can also see them on Global Comics. Both the Hacksan books and Sidequesters in its entirety are on there. But if you want it on your shelf, you can of course order from me. If you're interested in more traditional, not even traditional, but if you're interested in more like superhero-y stuff, I have my webcomic 3-panel origin. It is kind of from the Tick school of characters, which is basically I create a character and I tell their origin in 3 panels. And most of the time, it's something silly and kind of awkward. Like here, I'm riffing on the Batman origin, and he sees an ornithopter, and he basically becomes Ornithopter Man. And then or this one, which this guy with a snake head studies to become a doctor and gets his degree and becomes Dr. Snakehead MD. So, yeah. It's fun stuff. It's silly. This is the first 3 years of it. I've been doing this for 8 years, so there's more to come. And you can see new ones at 3-panel origin on Instagram. And then along with that, we have 3PO Comics, which this is my stories adjacent to 3-panel origin using the characters from it. And so this is like 4 or so short stories that are all, kind of silly, kind of wacky. But they are a lot of fun, and I also recommend buying that because it's mine and I want you to buy it anyway. Thank you for watching, and yeah, Maleficent. Yeah, good stuff.